What is a dirty secret about an industry that you have worked in that people outside the industry really ought to know? I worked at a high-end furniture store in college. 75% of high-end furniture is assembled in the back of the store by a hungover college kid, the same way you would if you bought something from IKEA. The difference between a $99 dresser and a $1,000 dresser is a hungover college kid. I had to assemble TV stands when I worked in the home theater department at Best Buy. If a customer wanted the one that was already assembled, they had to pay the $200 assembly charge. I don't remember ever getting that money. Most people who say this are ignored as kooks. But having worked in pharmaceutical research, I can confirm this. We already have developed better, safer medicines than most of the crap currently on the market. However, due to the following reasons, most of it will never reach the market. FDA approval costs a fair amount of money and time. And for a new dog to be approved takes bloody years. The slightest F up and testing and back to the beginning. Money. If a new dog discovery is not going to be as profitable as the stuff currently on the market, it will simply be patented and sat on research funding. Not enough of it anymore to properly explore all the possibilities. This fact bothers me so much. The suppliers of big pet store chains like PetSmart and Petco are horrid for the animals. They're nothing but breeding factories, churning out as many animals as possible with no thought to their health. A large majority of our animal shipments came in sick, dehydrated, or worse. Animals were often left in the back sick room with little if any veterinary care. We once had a Greek tortoise with a respiratory infection languish for 6 months back there, barely eating anything at all before someone finally took her to the vet and had her put down. I adopted many animals during my 3 years there, including a cordon bleu finch that had caught a leg in cage wiring, snapping in half at the ankle, and a gerbil that came in with no eyes and a horrible break in his leg. They would have otherwise sat in a small dark cage their whole life, never being offered up for sale. It's not just cats and dogs you shouldn't buy from pet stores. If you're looking for any pet, be it small animal, reptile, or bird, please go to a respectable breeder. Even a shelter. Don't support the giant corporations. Edit to I keep getting comments on this, so I need to clarify. I am not saying that every store treats their animals like sh. Some do the right thing and treat their animals very well. Even so, the suppliers for the animals are hell. Even if the store is receiving relatively healthy animals, there are still countless others at the supplier who didn't make it. I also want to thank whoever gave me gold. I never thought that would happen. Equals D. The chip circuitry on printer cartridges are made, maybe not necessarily to fail, but to such low quality that effort. Close enough. HP is the biggest culprit right now. Also, I'm about 99% certain that they're sending out firmware updates to disable older models of printers to prevent you from using aftermarket cartridges. I work for a UPS store. Here is a few things I have learned since working here. Writing fragile on your package means nothing. Your package will get thrown around, dropped, and beaten up. If it is breakable, then according to our guidelines for properly packaged items, it needs to withstand 1,000 pounds of pressure and a 4 feet top. UPS capital claims is terrible as well. They will do whatever they can to not pay you the amount you insure your package for. I used to work at a metal fabrication shop. We sold sheets of metal, varying from 1/1000th of an inch thick to 1 stroke too thick. UPS managed to dent a 1 stroke too thick of full hard stainless. I have no clue where they got a tank to run it over with, but they did it. Former FedEx employee here. The people who actually handle your packages are more or less slave laborers. No one cares if your packages says fragile or has special instructions. Most of the time the workers hate their jobs so much they throw your box on purpose or stomp on it to make it fit in the trailer. Don't hang up on telemarketers. If the dialer program they use works like mine, that just puts your number back into the database. If you don't want to be called again, just say so. We're required by law to comply. The ones who call me are breaking the law just by calling me. So I doubt their commitment to taking me off their list if I ask them. I just don't answer the phone if I don't recognize the number. Fiber internet service provider here. Bandwidth is not a scarce commodity like they want you to think it is. It is all about profit margins and oversubscribing the network. I worked for a political consulting firm and was completely floored when congressmen women would come in for media training, learning to be normal on camera or in front of constituents. Nearly every politician who came in for training was clueless and literally had their views on the issues fed to them by my boss, the media strategist. Sounds obvious, but it's really horrifying to witness. I worked on a political campaign and it made me realize how completely fake politics are. I mean, I had an idea, but no one is allowed to say anything that isn't part of the pre-prepared messaging. They'll do anything to avoid topics that aren't within the outlined priorities, even if it's something they personally care about. Or should. Everything is decided based on what strategists think will get votes. It's really disheartening. I was a deep sea diver for 10 years in the Gulf of Mexico. Huge oil spills happen and are covered up hundreds of times a year by every company. The entire industry is in on it. The bottom of the Gulf is a disgusting garbage dump. Every boat dumps their trash into the Gulf. No one obeys the laws and the Coast Guard doesn't enforce anything. It is impossible to crawl through ventilation shafts. Professional duct worker here. My whole life has been a lie. If more citizens knew how often US military individuals said things along the lines of F civilians, they can suck my D, people might lose some of their unrelenting support for the troops. If more citizens knew how often politicians said F civilians, they can suck my D, they might lose a little more support for the government. I'm in radio. We don't get to pick what we play on air. The PD schedules it and we just talk in between songs. The closest we get is when we play a request. That's usually something we wanted to hear and no one actually requested it. The guys down at the talk station ironically can play whatever they want but think the last good song came out in 1975. From my former job, the US military has a tradition where you spend your entire budget by October, the new fiscal year, or you risk losing that portion of your budget. I've been in units that would go out and purchase $200,000 worth of useless sh just to avoid having a budget surplus. Multiply by the number of units in the military, a ton, and you have all your fraud, waste and abuse. Same everywhere. If you don't use the budget they reduce it the next year. This is huge in education. A county in my state had $50K left over from a program and wanted to spend $40K of it on 250 Kindles just to make the budget. The only reason it was denied was because a non-profit would have raised hell over it. I work at a US lobbying firm. And I'm sure no Redditor would be shocked to hear that us legislators are ignorant. You might be surprised just how ill-informed a lot of them are. Though. Like the congressman who believed David Cameron was a member of the Socialist Party. Or the one that asked me why we called it Russia now, not the USSR. Or the senator who told me he'd grown up drinking seawater and it was healthier for you. The list could go on. Emergency room doctor here. I really do want you to get better. I really want you to not die. I get spat on and cursed at and I'm the recipient of several stink eyes daily. If you actually show that you care about your health and listen to me or show me the slightest bit of respect, I will bend over backwards to help you get better. If I'm not sending you home with a 6-month supply of Dialordid, it's because you are better off without it. I'm sorry you have a boxer's fracture because you punched your door. But fractures hurt and I can't take all the pain away and keep you breathing at the same time. Man up and deal with a few days of discomfort. It goes away eventually. I ask probing questions about your SOLITA and dog history and the consistency of your poop because it's important. I am legally prevented from sharing this info with your boss, your wife, the police. Just tell me the truth. The guy on the other side of the curtain has a curling iron stuck up his A. The herpes you got in high school doesn't shock me. My paycheck is my paycheck. I don't get paid more or less because I prescribe a name brand antibiotic. Or decide to do stitches instead of glue. Or admit you instead of letting you leave AMA. I get paid the same if I see one patient this shift or 40. Most of my decisions are based on medicine. Or to decrease the chances of getting sued. This isn't true for every doctor or even every emergency doctor. But consider giving your physician the benefit of the doubt. I cooked at Crapplebee's for a short while saving money to move out of state. They microwave pretty much 80% of the menu. And the food is a small step above Burger King in quality. It's not as if the quality doesn't show this. I really don't understand why so many people still go back. Harley Davidson is in pretty bad shape. They store the lion's share of their new motorcycles in some warehouses in Montana because they don't want to stop production just to keep shareholder happy. They are a ticking time bomb. Oh, also for the last few years they force retailers to buy some new bikes every year even though they don't change. If the retailers don't buy them they lose their licensing to sell Harleys. So basically all their sales have been made up for the last 5 or so years. That's what happens when you don't change your engineering or upgrade your product in any way for around 50 years. Then charge 2x more than the manufacturers who actually make decent products. I'm a celebrity event photographer in Hollywood. Most of the smaller award shows winners like the MTV VMAs, Teen Choice Awards, etc. already know they are going to win. This motivates the talent to come to the event. During the show they are backstage talking with friends and take a seat during a commercial break just before their award is announced. The few exceptions are the Oscars and Golden Globes where the audience is mostly celebrities. People that work in call centers often hit their mute buttons to tell their coworkers about the total re on the phone. I used to work contract security for a company that had a call center. Every time customer service had a threat we had to do a report on it. And it usually included us listening to a recording so we could do a summary on the call. We had a best of folder where we saved the entertaining calls. If you get the slightest stain on your mattress, the manufacturer's warranty is voided. If you buy a mattress cover. Returning a mattress to a mattress store is hellish. No one wants the mattress you bought without testing. Who knows what you did on it? So vendors make it nearly impossible to return them. It costs a vendor a lot to recondition a mattress. Vendors often have to rent storage lockers trucks to store soiled mattresses that delivery guys pick up anyway. My company has 2 trucks filled with mattresses marked BF. Wrapped in plastic that the manufacturers will not take back. We have to eat the cost. Bed bugs aren't as big a problem, yet, as the media seems to suggest. Before you purchase a mattress, spend at least 30 minutes. More like an hour. Laying on it in your normal sleeping position. If the store gives you a hard time, go somewhere else. Do not buy the plushest bed you find. It might feel good at first, but that thing will turn into a mushy hole that causes your back to spasm so that you pray for death. Don't give the mattress store a bad review cause you bought the wrong mattress. Pissed on it. And then they wouldn't take it back.